Maybe you've been told you are too much, too sensitive, too intense, but somehow not enough at the same time. Maybe you felt that way without anyone having to say it out loud. You are high-achieving, capable, the person others come to when things need to get done. What they don't know is you're quietly, persistently exhausted in a way that is hard to explain and harder to fix. Hey, I'm Dr. Regina Ph.D. I am a doctor, but not that kind of doctor, and this is a podcast, not medical advice. Divergent Paths is the podcast for late diagnosed neurodivergent adults, where we talk about all the many things we've experienced and ways to work with your brain to make your life a little easier. I also write a weekly newsletter, Nerd Notes, where I deep dive into the topics discussed on the podcast. The link to sign up is in the show description. In this episode, I'm going to talk about my favorite people, my clients. And don't worry, the names of the innocent will be kept safe. Let's talk about who I love working with. This really isn't about demographics. This is really about people who are approaching their late diagnosis or their late identified, late realized neurodivergence with genuine curiosity about themselves. The label isn't enough. The label's nice, the label helped, the ideas and kind of getting into that, oh, this helps me understand who I am and where I come from. That's all fabulous. But what's really great is when people come in curious and wanting to figure out how things work for them. They really want to dig into that truth. Really, my favorite clients are people who are done outsourcing their self-concept to their work, to their hobbies, or to relationships that never really supported them. If there is an inclination in there of, I was doing this because I thought I was supposed to be, I really love working with people who are recognizing that they don't want to do the things they've always done because they're just what they've always done. Part of what comes out of that, part of what comes out of wanting to work with people who are in that space is I love when people can handle not having a clean answer. Like when they know that this process is complicated, when they know it's a process of shedding, of revealing layers of themselves, that it's going to take time and energy and effort to work through all of that to get to their genuine self and to be able to build from there instead of building from the performance. If you're coming into coaching and you want something that looks like a checklist or something that looks like a specific protocol that I might use with all of my clients and gives a guaranteed outcome, you're going to be really frustrated with me as a coach. I had many a student over my many years of teaching who are very frustrated when I wouldn't tell them exactly how to write their papers. When they would come to me with questions and I would say, well, how do you want to approach that topic? And they're like, I want you to tell me how to approach this topic. And I'm like, but it's your paper and you are making an argument that only you can make because you are the person making that argument. And I cannot tell you, I cannot give you that answer. My coaching looks very much the same as that. I really open things up for my clients. I help you see things in a way that you hadn't been seeing them before. And a lot of people who land in my Make It Make Sense calls and a lot of people who are looking for neurodivergent coaching are coming in with a project management mindset where we can set up a schedule and a scale for people to work forward on. Take this step, get you to this step, get you to this step. And you want milestones and deliverables and a timeline and a finish line you can aim for. And a lot of the coaching industry is going to tell you that's exactly what they can provide you. A lot of the coaching industry is going to say, this is how we get to these desired outcomes. You take these steps, you follow my program, you buy my course, whatever it is that they're selling. They will sell you a transformation arc that has a beginning, a middle, and a tidy end where things will come to a nice conclusion and you'll feel great about yourself. But the thing is, For those of us who are late diagnosed and late identified, doing genuine unmasking work, that framing can actually cause you harm, right? Because we've been working in systems that have told us we need to behave in certain ways for so long. If you go into neurodivergent coaching and you work with a coach that says, in 3 months, you will unpack everything and you will be able to unmask like a champ. Great. I hope that works for people. I know that my unmasking journey, I am several years into it now, and I am still revealing layers of myself that I didn't know were there before, that had been covered up so completely by my mask. Then that ends up being the wrong shape for you. If you go into a program like that, you go into something that says you're going to do this and this and this, and you're at the end of it and you're like, I still don't feel like I got what I needed to, then you're going to be even more frustrated and you're going to have to spend more time and more energy looking at how to do this. And that's why the paths that my clients take are divergent by design. Unmasking is not linear because building your identity wasn't linear. You didn't come to whatever age you are when you realize or when you start to identify or you get assessed and you know that you have ADHD. You didn't come to that with an identity that was built on stair steps or cookie cutter moments. You had a whole messy, complicated life that brought you to this point. And the progress in this often looks like things getting quieter before they get clearer. They get quiet because you start taking the steps and the moments to consider what things do to your nervous system, what saying yes when you don't want to say yes, what that does to your mind and your heart and your body. And it looks a lot like grief before it can look like the relief that you're moving toward. There's confusion before there's confidence. There's so much richness in the process of unmasking as a late diagnosed adult. And the path is uneven and it's different for everybody. And that's not wrong. That's the sign that something very real is happening because you're breaking through layers and layers of protection to get down to that soft, squishy center that you have been holding onto and protecting for so much of your life. And the whole point is that process is different for everybody. And I nerd out over my clients because I get the privilege of being able to help you open up. And even if you get just 1 or 2 layers closer to that squishy center in the time that we work together, I will feel like a rock star because I will have been able to help you do something that I had to do largely on my own with the help of a few friends who had already done it before me. But that process is so individual, like it takes so much. And that's one of the reasons why I call my coaching package the Nerd Out, because I want to nerd out about you. And it's so fun and it's so rewarding. And that frameworks that I build are like everything else that I build in my life, where I eschew habits. I did an episode about how habits don't work for people who are neurodivergent. But what I do find helps me are rituals, like the ways I think about doing things, to how I make those choices. And those are things that I suggest to my clients as ways of starting to understand where the mask is, where their executive function is getting drained, and all of those pieces where your working memory is having trouble, all of those different things. I notice the patterns that my clients haven't had words for. I help them make small choices to lead to bigger choices, smaller, low risk times. I help my clients be less surprised by who they are and what they want, and help them close the gap between who you are and who you've been performing for so much of your life. And like I said, this is such unbelievably privileged work for me to be able to do, to be able to help people go through this process. It is the most rewarding thing I've done. And my teaching career was very rewarding. I very much enjoyed teaching, and I know I changed a lot of lives for a lot of students over the 20 years that I was teaching. This is the most rewarding work I've done because it's work I'm doing for you. If you hear yourself in this, that's not an accident. You're here because I have been building this show, this podcast, for this exact profile for the last, we're almost on 2 years now of putting these episodes together and running this show. And that's what my coaching is designed specifically for, people who have been running on old programs and want to reprogram and rebuild a life for themselves and figure out what's underneath the performance and the identity that you've had leading up to this moment. Since this is resonating with you, if you'd like to learn a little bit more about what my coaching looks like, there's a link in the show notes to my Make It Make Sense call, where we can talk about the nerd out. And remember, your divergent path is uniquely your own.